When are you going to die already? Igor grumbled as he slammed the door and left the bedroom. Inside, his wife lay suffering from a terrible cough that wouldn't go away. In just a year of marriage, she had gone from being a healthy young woman to a weak skeletal figure. Their small town had only a tiny clinic with 2 doctors. One of them was a vet, who was actually more trusted than the doctor. The doctor had tried everything to help Rita. He used cough syrups, mustard plasters, plantain leaves, chamomile, and nettle. He even sent her to the steam bath regularly, but nothing made her better. Her condition just got worse. "I'm out of ideas," the doctor said with a sigh. Rita couldn't understand what was happening to her either. She had always been full of energy, but now it felt like her marriage had drained all her vitality. The villagers started gossiping. She must be cursed, they would say when they gathered at the shop or by the water pump. Rita married at 20. Igor, who was from the city, came to their village saying he wanted to bring new energy to the countryside. He got a job driving a bread delivery truck. "You should be proud of me, wife," he would boast. "Without me, there would be no bread for the whole village." Rita just nodded and didn't argue. "We even have an apartment in the city, but I'm renting it out for now," Igor would brag. "I'm saving up to buy a bigger place for us, especially if we have kids." The village women admired him and praised him as a rare and great husband. They would then go home and scold their own husbands. But Rita was happy with their little house and didn't want to move. Still, her health kept getting worse. Her cough was joined by a runny nose, and sometimes she would wake up at night unable to breathe through her nose. When this happened, she'd get up suddenly, waking Igor, who would grumble and complain. "Why are you always moving around? I need to get up early, and I can't sleep because of you," Igor complained. But as soon as his head hit the pillow, he would snore loudly, filling the room with noise. Rita would quietly get up and move to another room, where she could get some rest, though not without a headache and feeling weak in the morning. At least she could breathe a little better. Rita worked at the local library, handing out books and filling out forms. The villagers enjoyed borrowing books and showing off their new knowledge at the water pump. Even though her job wasn't physically demanding, she came home feeling exhausted. Igor, who finished his bread deliveries early, would wait for her to come home, expecting her to cook dinner and take care of him. "Why can't you peel some potatoes before I get home? It takes longer to wait for you to do it," he'd grumble. "Well, excuse me, do you think I don't deserve to rest after carrying bread all day?" He'd snap back, even though Rita knew he hardly did any of the heavy work himself. Other people handled the unloading. She was too tired to argue. By evening, her cough would worsen, her eyes would get red, and a rash would spread over her skin. "Are you sure this isn't contagious?" Igor asked one morning, noticing the red spots on her back. "I don't need more problems." He slammed the door and left without breakfast. From then on, he started working night shifts, saying the stores needed fresh bread in the mornings. In reality, he was lying to Rita and staying away for days or even weeks, leaving her to struggle alone. At night, she could barely breathe, her cough was unbearable, and Igor's constant criticism and indifference only made things worse. "Why don't you go to the city hospital?" her friend Svetlana suggested. "They have real doctors there, not just the quack we have here." "What can they do?" "I'll rest and get better," Rita replied weakly. Svetlana hesitated before saying, "I didn't want to worry you, but some people say they saw Igor with a girl from the city who was here for the harvest. But you know how gossip is." Rita gave a bitter smile. She had noticed her husband's change in behavior long ago. She'd even found lipstick stains on his shirts a few times, although lately he'd started washing them himself. "I'm taking care of you since you're so weak," he'd say, but he left the sweaters and pants for her to wash. Rita's condition continued to worsen. She had been bedridden for 2 days, unable to move, her body racked with a violent cough, her eyes red and watery, and her skin covered in a rash. "When are you finally going to die?" Igor snapped. His new girlfriend from the rumors turned out to be real, and she was demanding more of his time, even wanting him to move to the city. But Igor couldn't leave because all his talk about having a city apartment was a lie. He didn't actually have one. He lost his previous job because of a black mark on his record. He'd been caught siphonning fuel from the truck he drove and selling it on the side. That's why he had to leave the city. Then Rita, a naive country girl, came along and even signed over half of her house. which she had inherited from her grandmother. "Come in, this is your half of the house," Igor's voice called from the hallway. "Good, solid house," an unfamiliar voice responded. "And who lives in the other half?" the stranger asked. "An old sick woman. She'll be gone soon," Igor said, with no shame in his voice. "All right, I'll take it," the stranger said. There was the sound of money rustling, a handshake, and then the door slammed. Rita, hearing them leave, tried to get up but stumbled and knocked over a chair. The stranger hurried into the room at the noise. "Still alive?" he asked, lifting Rita and helping her back onto the bed. "Where does it hurt?" "Who are you?" Rita asked, surprised enough to momentarily stop coughing. "I'm the new owner of this half of the house." "And you?" "Who are you?" The man had expected to find an elderly woman but was surprised to see a young, though very sickly, woman. "I live here. This was my house," Rita said with a bitter smile, then started coughing again. "Hold on," the new owner said, leaving and coming back with a glass of water. "Drink it slowly." Rita, not knowing why, took the water. It helped soothe her throat and reduce the coughing. "Thank you, but this won't last." "What's your name, neighbor?" she asked as he took the empty glass. "Rita, short for Margarita," she replied. "Margarita, like the flower. A lovely name. I'm Taras." "Nice to meet you," he said, extending his hand. Rita wanted to shake it but then remembered her rash and pulled back. Taras caught her wrist before she could pull away and examined her hand closely. "How long have you had this?" he asked, frowning. "Are you a doctor or something?" Rita asked, a bit sarcastic. "Almost," Taras said seriously. "It comes and goes. It usually gets worse when I'm coughing a lot and feeling weak. It started a year ago. I've never had anything like this before." She apologized. "I need to lie down. My head is spinning." She rested her head on the pillow. "And where did you come from?" "I haven't seen you around before," she asked, studying Taras. "I'm not from here. I came from the city," he said. "Do you want the truth, or?" He smirked. "All right, I'll tell you the truth then. At this point, there's not much that scares me, and I've got nothing left to lose. I'm of no use to anyone anymore, and no one cares if I live or die. I might not be around much longer anyway." The doctor didn't check a patient's allergy to a medication he prescribed, and the patient went into anaphylactic shock and died. The family wanted justice, and I was supposed to be imprisoned. But then my wife died during childbirth, leaving me with a young son. I couldn't handle the court stress and take care of him at the same time, so I took the blame. We were already separated, so we split the apartment. I invested my share, but inflation wiped out most of it. I only had enough left to buy a room in a communal apartment. When I saw the ad for half of a house for sale in the village, I thought it was my lucky break. The seller said the other half might be available soon, and that an old sick woman lived there who would probably die soon, so I could get it cheap. But now, seeing things as they really are... Rita listened with tears streaming down her face. She never expected such betrayal from her husband. "And where is he now?" she asked quietly. "He went to the city with his fiancée. Left his phone with me, told me to call if, well, you know," Taras replied. "I see," Rita said with a bitter smile. Taras turned out to be a great neighbor. He helped her around the house and even got a job at the local hospital, replacing the old doctor who had left. One day, Taras suggested, "Marga, why don't you come to my office? I have a few ideas about your illness. Have you noticed you're coughing less and your complexion is better?" Rita had noticed but was afraid to believe it, thinking it might just be her imagination. Eventually, Taras practically insisted she come to the city with him to see a specialist. After a thorough examination, they discovered she had a rare allergy to her own husband, specifically to his biological material. If she had stayed with him much longer, she could have gone into anaphylactic shock. "Your whole body was reacting against the marriage," the specialist explained. "I didn't know anything like that was even possible," Rita said, shaking her head in disbelief. "Thank you. If it weren't for you, I might still be suffering or even worse." Life without Igor restored Rita's health and happiness. She even began to forget she had ever been married to him. Taras was always there for her, and one evening during dinner, he slid a small box across the table. Rita opened it and, shocked, looked up at him. "It's a ring," Taras said with a smile. "Yes, it's a ring," he chuckled. "But I'm still married," Rita said with a shrug. That's fixable, Tara's replied. You don't have any children, so the divorce will be quick and easy. You just need to handle the paperwork. Rita followed his advice. She had no idea where her ex-husband was, so after 2 court sessions where he didn't show up, the divorce was finalized automatically. Not long after, Rita and Tara submitted their marriage application, and a month later, they were married. I'm so glad I'm not allergic to you, Rita said with a smile, snuggling up to Tara's. A few months later, someone knocked on their door. Tara's opened it to find Igor standing there, looking disheveled, unshaven, wearing a worn-out jacket, and reeking of alcohol. Well, Taras, Igor said, his breath heavy with booze. So is she dead yet? By my calculations, she should have been gone by now. You should have called me so I could finish the paperwork for the other half of the house and sell it. I've been waiting. Have you forgotten? Or have you changed your mind? I've changed my mind, Tara said, hoping Rita wouldn't come out and see him, but she did. Darling, who's there? Rita called, stepping out. When she saw Igor, she recoiled in surprise. Margaret, you're alive. Igor stammered, stunned to see her healthy and pregnant. How is this possible? She's my wife, he stuttered. No, Igor, she's my wife now, and if I see you near her again, no one will ever find you. I've got nothing to lose, Tara said quietly but firmly. I'll make sure you disappear so completely that no one will ever find a trace of you. Understand? Igor, frightened, backed away quickly. Would you really have buried him? Rita asked, peeking from the room and hugging Tara's tightly. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up, and to make sure you don't miss any more stories, hit the bell when you subscribe.